It is 8:47 Eastern Standard Time on Saturday, June 14th. We are a couple hours behind it, but I wanted to get this going as soon as possible because this is going to be a long episode for me to have to put together. We're going to talk about the top 8 from the Heroclix Nationals. We're going to talk about how it's going to affect any future meta, and how some of it is gone meta, but things we might have overlooked in combination with other things. I'm going to start from 8th place and go right up to the top, dropping names, talking about the teams, familiar faces. There's an apology in there somewhere, I promise. But let's get this started. So starting out with 8th place, we have Nick Peterson, who played the Fear Itself Loki prize, played at 30 points. Bizarro played at 25 points. The bare minimum Bizarro. I always told people even 25 points he was awesome. Enchantress at 50, you're not going to see her on the table. A lot of her Golden Age figures have been shifted out of the collection. Wizard, who we don't have because we are well off, but not rich. Also, because we're well off, but not rich, Parallax was attached to Wizard. These things they didn't waste any time getting into the meta game. I even had a chance to talk about them. The entities from the chases, from the War of Light, as soon as I get my hands on them and I have a chance to wield them, I swear, I promise, I will be doing an episode on them. But I've got to try to catch up because they're all out there, and I got an ROC at the end of next month. So, I got to either practice against them or put them on my team or change my team or something. I don't know. I'll figure it out. And the Wizard also had a utility belt. I bet you dollars to donuts that utility belt was used to give him a Susaurus. Throw a Wizard on there with an ultra heavy object, and you've got the Alpha Strike with a lot of damage with high attacks. And we have Scotty's Warbot at 30 points. Scotty's Warbot is probably the best filler next to the Loki for 30 points, mostly because, unlike the Loki, the Scotty's Warbot has the added advantage of 3 damage with Psychic Blast along with Running Shot and 7 range. But the Loki does have his trait where he can use Transporter ability without reducing his attack. So effectively he's got an 11 movement Hypersonic as well. Can't knock that. Bizarro is just awesome, but paying 25 points for him, beware of Mystics characters. Moving up in the world, 7th place, Derek Thompson. Playing a character I've been trying to use in my practices for the ROC, the Evil Deadpool, armed with a Parallax Entity. Makes up for those crappy early stats, I gotta say, at the very least. Throwing in as well, we've got Colleen Wing from Amazing. So in 7th place, we have Derek Thompson, playing an Evil Deadpool at 100 points. He's a pretty awesome character, Prime. I've been trying to make a good use of him in a monster team. With a Parallax Entity to kind of counteract some of the early game crap starting stats that he has. Coupled with a Colleen Wing, who's listed on the site as the Amazing Spider-Man number 8, but I'm pretty sure that's the Deadpool set figure, because it's listed as 55 points. We also have another 25-point Bizarro, Split Lip, which of course comes with the Book of Skulls. As I've said, the Book of Skulls is a 50-point resource whether you want it to be or not. We've got Blind Owl for 13 points to perplex up Evil Deadpool from wherever she wants to. And we've got an Astral Doctor Strange to fill up 13 points because you don't have much time left with those Astral Doctor Stranges, so get that use out of them that you can, right? Note that this is also being filmed before July 1st, which is the big meta cut to Golden Age, or from the Golden Age to the Modern Age. So be aware of that when I'm talking, if you're watching this well after that. Next up, we've got, in 6th place, Mr. Brian Santana. I'm really hoping these are all Misters and not awkwardly placed male-like names on females, so if they are, I apologize. Anyway, carry on. We have the Alpha Class Sentinel, who, wow, he found his way into the tournaments pretty quick, but he was played at 150 points, which is the yellow dial. Now, if I can go ahead and find that, that is the one that starts on click number 10. Of course, I got the defense mode dial down here with me. But even on defense mode, he's got 19 defense with energy shield. So that's obnoxious. But he started off on attack mode, which chances are means he was doing a buttload of damage with that guy. Couple in the fact that he used Weasel, 27 points from Deadpool. I always thought that because he was Deadpool's sidekick, he was always Deadpool specific, like Blind Al is. Yeah, he's not. He's got some really cool stuff. He's got some stuff that does increase characters named Deadpool, but that just it's just better when working with a character named Deadpool. He's got a power that increases range and attack, I think it is. Holy moly! He is really good. Throwing with this team, we also had Black Talon. I knew this rooster would be replacing the Mole Man. We'd see him, and I knew it would happen. Also, on this team, we had the Phoenix Force. Something I didn't think was going to be as awesome in the meta as it looked to be. This was armed on the Alpha Class Sentinel and the Black Talon. He had all the shards, which meant Brian put 2 shards out on the board. So his Phoenix Force was a little susceptible to Lydia Maller grabs, but when you got 3 of them on there, which one do you take? I mean, you all of a sudden got to carry a team with a bunch of TKers. You know what I mean? So, all in all, I gotta say that's very well played, Mr. Brian. I'm kind of glazing over this as best I can. A lot of this is going to be affecting future episodes. I want to go as in-depth as I can if I can notice it right off the bat. Some of them I'm going to take a little bit of research to do. I've had a very busy day. It's the day before Father's Day, and I had to work today. So I didn't have time to do what I usually like to do, which is put a lot of research into something like this. But we're moving along. Here's a team we've actually had a chance to try out, and we realized is now no longer a threat going into the ROC at the end. I'm going to drop the ROC a lot because I've been practicing for it, so I apologize in advance. But this team was the one that Amber has actually piloted the best, to much to my frustration. It is Emerald Empress with a utility belt. Most likely, he only paid 7 points for that utility belt. Chances are he only
just the cowl.
It's probably just the cowl. Tag that with 2, not down here, but 2 enchantresses who unfortunately have to go. I don't believe Justice League 52 really should have been cut, but whatever. They got to get their cuts done. Let them do it. But 2 enchantresses were on this team. Also coupled with the Midnight Suns ATA. Now, I know how this team functions, so I'm going to go in a little depth into this. Emerald Empress, what she does is with the utility belt, packing just the cowl, the Batman cowl, rather. She gets stealth. Because she gets the Batman team ability. So, that's pretty cool, right? But Daemon Hellstorm is Midnight Suns. Which means you give him the Midnight Suns ATA, and as long as he's on his first click, he's got stealth. But if he already has stealth, opposing characters can't draw lines of fire to him. Now, this team has been played before, so it wasn't like completely off guard catching. And I think Jason Allen might have been the one piloting it as well. I have to double check that to be absolutely sure. But one of the neat things about the Emerald Empress packing the utility belt is that because she's got stealth from the Batman team ability that she's already got, she can couple her wild card ability to copy the Midnight Suns ATA, because the ATA is actually one of the copyable ones. And you see what kind of just happened there, right? It all came together because of the rewording of the Batman team ability many, many moons ago, where originally it was worded like stealth, and all of a sudden became worded to give stealth, because DC didn't have stealth at the time. Well, that's the specific reason I can give you for it. But when DC characters started getting stealth as an ability, the Batman team ability got reworded to this character gains stealth. So when your Emerald Empress can shoot, or can running shot, and then running shot again as a free action with Psychic Blast, and then do that in the middle of nowhere and not worry about having lines of sight drawn to her, you've got a potential for awesome. As well, the Daemon Hellstorm becomes the target, but he's got shape change, which if you're Amber Kennedy, you roll all the time, and is really only duckable with things like Battle Fury, etc. Plus he's got Mystic, so he's punishing you for attacking him. So you've already got to take damage from the Daemon Hellstorm, and then you got to take damage from the Emerald Empress. The thing that really kiboshes the strategy is Lydia Maller saying, "That's my cowl." But it does put a hard stop on it, as you can imagine. But the Emerald Empress will still be able to copy stealth, No, I'll copy the ATA, which will give her stealth as long as she stays on her first click. So you still have that tactical advantage, even if you do lose the uber tactical advantage. Plus, it's a utility belt, man. Come on, the stat bonuses, who can argue with that? And when you have two enchantresses, both packing telekinesis and probability control, I dare you to miss, and I dare you to not be in position. Or get out of position when you need to get there, because the TK is wicked. Next up, goes without saying, there's always one of these in an ROC, be it a major tournament, there's always one of these teams. 2 of the 10th anniversaries Ironmans, Split Lip, and a Book of Skulls. Alright, I guess I do have to talk about it. The Iron Man at 125 points is a pretty awesome character. He's indomitable, he's got Running Shot, Psychic Blast, Perplex, 4 damage, and Impervious. Now, that Impervious is unnecessary, but it is awesome as well, because it gives you 2 rollouts on damage. Allow me to explain. The Iron Man, with his Impervious, gets a roll of 5 or 6 to ignore any damage that you're doing. If you get past that Impervious roll, then, if he is going to take damage, and you're armed with a resource, he gets a roll of die again. He ignores all your damage in the first place. If you're dealing 5, you're dealing 6, you're dealing 100 damage to him, it doesn't matter, because now you're dealing 0. And then he rolls a die. On a 1, 2, or 3, he takes 1 unavoidable damage. On a 3, 4, 5, a 4, 5, or 6, he takes nothing. Yeah, did you just scream? Because I scream every time I see this guy on the other side of the board. I try to use Brother Voodoo's to attack him. When it comes down to it, the brutal honesty, it's a good figure against the modern meta with the prevalence of the resources out there. Plus, when you throw a resource on him, he's nothing to shake a stick. He's scary as hell. Now, I don't know how people get around this. I don't. Every time I run across this, I want to weep, and there's nothing I can do sometimes against it except patiently try to play it out and outmaneuver it. So there's a lot of better players out there than me, but Scott Lovelady, you did it. You took it to 4th place, so I can't say you're bad at the game or anything. It's a good enough team that counters so much of the meta game that exists right now, because Book of the Skulls is one of the things that really puts a damper on, because when you have the Book of Skulls on your team, your entire team has the Book of Skulls. That means that any character that attacks those Ironmans is affected, the Ironmen, is affected by that ability. So, as you can imagine, that can become slightly obnoxious. Alright, I've said enough about that. On to the next team. His name shows up in all of these. I don't even know how... He's a good player. Ladies and gentlemen, George Masu in 3rd place. George Masu piloted a team that contained Alyosha Craven, Wonder Girl, Scotty's Warbot, Split Lip, Book of Skulls, obviously, and Astral Doctor Strange, and of course, Glee Dakin on the line is on his team. Excuse me. So you got 2 frontline attackers, as well as the Loki. I forgot the Fear Itself Loki makes another appearance. Now, how does this all come together? This is a huge team, and it is really outside of the style I'm familiar with watching Mr. George Masu play. Nothing against him. I love the guy. The guy is great, and he's taken his style to the next level. He's world-class player because he does place in the tops of every world team, or almost every world tournament or every national. But he usually does it with a tentpole team. A team that consists of either one major attacker or just one figure in general, because he actually, on the day 1, it was announced that he was using a team that consisted of an Infinity Gauntlet, and a Bizarro. Now that's a strong team in itself, because you've got to attack it 9 times and deal damage to it 9, 10 times in order to get through it, and you can't outwit it because of the Gauntlet. There's a lot of things that it just can walk all over, which is pretty much most of the metagame. So, I'm sure you can imagine, this is a guy who I'm familiar with playing a lot of tent poles, and I actually, when I'm in conversations and saying how he's a great player, I always say, he's a player who's taken tent pole to a new level, and I have to apologize now and take it back, because you gone and made a swarm team! You just made my job harder, that's all. So when it comes down to it, his team, consisting of Alyosha, Craven, and the Loki, already right off the bat, I see free actions just flying out of this team. This isn't the first time I've seen him pilot in Alyosha as well. Alyosha, I don't know how you guys say it. I'll usually say Alyosha. But, that said, how do I describe this? Alyosha moves, he can make an animal move. His lion moves for free regardless, or can take an action for free as long as Alyosha is on the table. Now that means that he can take as a free action the ability to drop a hammer on one of your teammates. Think about that for a second. The lion can drop the second hammer on your turn, or the first hammer of the game on the first turn at no action cost. That is nuts. Nuts! In addition, he can use the Loki piloting the extra speed from Alyosha to carry Miss Wonder Girl into battle, who will come in charging with Perplex. And I mean, he's got the Ophidian entity on this team, and I think, is that the only entity? I hope it's the only. He's got the Ophidian entity, which is the Orange Lantern entity, which does awesomeness. All the entities do awesomeness to your characters. At 25 points, and they're not restricted by you having a resource. So they are going to be very prevalent at only 25 points of what they do. Note that, guys, because you're going to hear me say these things a lot. But this team, it's very effective at its use of having a lot of characters. It's one of those things about Swarm teams that you can get caught off guard by when you build them, is that you have not enough actions in a single turn with all the characters that you have. And it's one of the things that I've got a team that I've built recently that I've been having a hard time with, is managing all my actions. And, you can't rely on leadership, I find. You need guaranteed chance. So it's something to think about, and it's something he did think about. Good on you, George. Congratulations on third. Third is nothing to shake a stick at, guys. That means he's, he got to the round just before the last two players played. So we're getting into the top two now. The second place, Mr. Tim Bold. Why you gotta play something I don't have? Iron Pharaoh. I've been on a hunt for this character for a long time, and his price just keeps fluctuating. When his price is low, he's gone. When his price is high, I can't afford him. Stop using him so I can get him! So we got Iron Pharaoh, Black Talon, and two of the Fast Four Scarlet Witches. Bye-bye, Scarlet Witch. We're going to miss you. A lot of guys are obviously going to miss you. It's a good figure. You can never fault a guy going into a high-level tournament for playing this Scarlet Witch. For 50 points with Perplex and Probability Control, that's something you need. Iron Pharaoh, of course, can sit back and watch the game go as his bird goes out and gives him a line of fire. And, of course, Black Talon is there to do what Black Talon does, and mind control dead people. This team also had a power plant. Very, very noticeably lately, the mystical teams have been packing the power plant, not the Book of Skulls. The reason for this is that the mystical teams are already very toolboxy. This is another level of toolbox. This is such a utility resource, and is so effective with the mystical team in itself, because the mystical team is always very ranged, but it's already medium range. Throw in an Electroblast ring, and all of a sudden you got a high range character with two targets. So much mind control out there. Add a second target to everything. I'm going fast, I know, because I got one more team still to go, and I'm deeply concerned about the hard drive on my iPad right now. But yeah, so a toolbox is something that's worth having at all times. And if your team, the more things your team can do, the better. Just try not to do too much, as I'm sure I have an episode coming up about that. So, that said, the Mandarin's power plant was no stranger to this tournament. Oh, hey, Adam Webb, what were you on? Oh, you were with the Giant Sentinel. God damn it. Adam Webb was on a team too. She's awesome. She's cool. All right, let's talk about team number one. The winner. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2014 Origins Nationals Heroclix winner, Adam Friedman. I don't have a picture of him. I don't even have him in the room. I would love to have him interviewed, but I can't afford to fly him over here. Mr. Friedman, what did you have? Well, I mentioned her name a couple times already today, Lydia Mallard. A very countery character. Can't complain about that. He also armed Lydia Mallard with the Parallax entity, which is probably the strongest entity in the game right now. Also on his team, White Witch. White Witch we've talked about her. She's the anti-free action metagame portion of the game. She doesn't take Mystics damage, which Mystics is still out there. You can't ignore it. As well on the team, he played the 25-point Batgirl, who I don't have in front of me, but I know is there. She's pretty good. He had 3 bystanders tokens, a lawyer, a protester, and a civilian. I don't even have a joke for that. I got nothing. Now, also on his team, he had Split Lip. Amber, what else did he have with Split Lip?
Book of Skulls.
Book of Skulls. So, yeah, there's no such thing as a bad character on that team, really, except for even the bystanders have their purpose of either flushing out the hammers faster or, heck, even arming a hammer so you can start double arming faster than the rest of it. So, this is an example of how the modern... did you hear me describe 2 of the same team, first of all? That's right, I didn't. This is a healthy metagame.
Yay!
Ladies and gentlemen, when I don't describe 2 teams in the same... I can describe a figure showing up on multiple teams all I want. If Lydia Maller was on every single team, then we'd have an issue, but she wasn't on every other team. But she was on one team. She might have been on another in the top 16. I don't know. White Witch was only on one of the teams. Oddly enough, Black Talon made 2. Bizarro made 2. I had a feeling he'd be part of the metagame for a while. Iron Man showed up twice on one team. Heck, Wonder Girl showed up. Who knew? Loki showed up twice. Of all figures, Loki. Scotty's Warbot showed up a couple times, but she's been a threat. That's been a threat for a little while. The Book of Skulls did repeat itself quite a bit, but we all kind of knew that. When you can give everybody on your team +2 attack and a move and attack ability, you know your team is going to be strong. The Book of Skulls, when it comes to the metagame, is probably my go-to resource. Although there are times where I look at teams and try to put the Mandarin's rings on it to add effectiveness, to say the least. So, and guess what team it is? Mystical! We saw this guy come out real quick. I didn't think he was metagame busting, but you know what? This is. I know I've said this, and Weasel. I know I've said this. I've said this in an episode. I think it was even the last episode where I was talking about, or was it 2 episodes ago where I was talking about net building. Net decking. 2 episodes ago, I talked about net decking. The reason I suggested net decking wasn't necessarily a good idea was specifically because if you look at all these teams on paper at first glance, a lot of people went, eh? You know, and then you look at it a little harder, you go, oh. And then you look at it even harder and go, oh. And these guys practiced with these teams. These guys knew how to play these teams. Okay, some of them, I bet you $100 George Master made his team the night before and probably while he was napping. That guy's just really good at making teams. I've never seen him play the same team twice, and I've also never seen him play the same team that everybody else is playing. So, kudos to him on that one as well. Good player. Hope one day to meet him. Possibly play him. That said, as a whole, this is a really good and healthy metagame when so many vastly different teams can show up and make people think twice about where this game is. An unhealthy metagame would have been last year's metagame where Ghost Rider became the thing to play. Ghost Rider Utility Belt and Things was before that it was just before the game went the way of the dodo, just before the NECA buyout. We had the Arkham Asylum metagame, which was Metron and Things. Metron, a nurse, and what is your other attacker was the metagame. Now, I don't want to curse the guy who won in both those metagames, Daniel Join. Good on you. But those aren't healthy metagames. Granted, he played it very differently than his opponents. But when people complain about the state of the game right now, and it's not broken, there's a lot of things you can do. There's so many things you can do. There's 8 different things you can do and win. Top 8 is a good placement, guys, in a tournament like this. But, excuse me. That said, a healthy metagame is a varied metagame. But for the love of God, don't make me talk so much in a single episode.